House have all the time in 8 different tongues, from French and Italian to Hebrew and Chinese. These students live, speak, and eat their language of study 24 hours a day.
Living here a semester, my Italian actually got better than it had been in Italy. My exchange family noticed when I talked to them on the phone. They said, "That's strange, your Italian's getting better." And I guess that's what happens when you speak Italian all the time in a living environment. It just becomes second nature.
For Marissa and others, it helps to have a mentor on their side. This resident helper is here to sharpen student skills every step of the way.
So, for example, when we cook together, we have everybody speaks French. So it's to learn a language in a different way, natural way.
The Foreign Immersion Program at the Language House is the only one of its kind on the East Coast. Its director, Dolores Bondurant, says this approach enhances a student's desire to learn more about other cultures.
It's their desire to obtain oral proficiency. And the only way you can really do that is to be immersed in the program, to live around the language, to be a part of the language and the culture. And I think this is what our students find here in the Language House.
No mi vedrai dopo le 8 di mattina domani.
And that's the key to both programs at the Language House and Anne Arundel Hall, putting students in the right environment to enhance their studies. At the University of Maryland at College Park, Zena Pierre, News Channel 8.
I truly regret that I can't be there today with everybody to celebrate the 20 years of the Language House. I can hardly believe that it's been 20 years. I know that I've aged in the process. It's very exciting to meet with Phoenix and tell her about the early days of the Language House and share with her the scrapbook that I kept. And I hope that you might find some of those materials that she's copied of interest for the archive. And congratulations on the 20th year anniversary.
With the Language House in 1994 when I was a graduate student, and I became the assistant to Dolores Bondurant, Madame Bondurant, and that was also a really great way to learn more about the program. I became the coordinator for the program, the full-time coordinator for the program. It hadn't been a full-time position for some time in 1998, and those were some of the best years of my time at the University of Maryland. I really enjoyed leading the program, and I guess the most important thing that we tried to do at the time was to get everybody to take their commitment to the Language House very seriously. It was supposed to be a living learning program, meaning the students live their language learning 24 hours a day.
Became involved with the Language House in my role as Associate Dean for Student Affairs in the College of Arts and Humanities, and that was in 1996. Also thought it would be important to recognize the work that the faculty liaison were doing at the time and recognize their work by giving them a nice stipend.
For many years, I had the privilege of serving as the liaison from the French department to the French apartment. And I remember fondly the experience, mostly because the mentors and the residents knew or created from this liaison job, if you will, something that was special for them and for me.
I'd say one of the most exciting things that happened during the time that I was working with the Language House are the coffee chats that happen on Mondays. We wanted to make the Language House a gathering place for anyone, really, who wanted to come and practice their language skills and increase their knowledge of the culture where the language is spoken. And we started from nearly nothing in very small groups in the coffee chats. We had some tea and coffee and cookies and things to entice people to come, but they just exploded, grew and grew and grew. until it was quite an operation.
Do you know how many languages we have now?
No, how many?
Guess.
Well, if you've added Arabic and added Farsi, I don't know about any others, but 10 to 12?
We have 14.
14. What are the other 4?
Currently we have a table for Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Greek, Hebrew, Italian, Korean, Japanese, Persian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, and Spanish. And last week we had over 140 people, which is a record. The Language House is more than just a living and learning program focused on language. Our students excel in a number of different disciplines, and it really is a learning community. So we just had Progressive Snack, where each apartment cooks a small dish that reflects the culture of the language that they're studying. And that's basically to get them to prepare for Around the World Dinner, which is a much larger event.
La casa de lenguas es como chicles. Pegamos juntos.
خوگو حديقة الحيوانات مالكي مير.
Knowing a second language or even a third language is very important in today's world, and living here in the Language House in an immersion environment on a professional level really helps prepare our students for a number of employment opportunities here and across seas, and really opens up the world to them.
Rosemary, it's so nice to having you back. How long
nice to be here.
Yeah, how long has been that you graduated?
I graduated 2007, so 2 years.
2 years only?
2 full years, yes.
It feels like forever that you were gone. Yeah. So tell us about your experience after the Language House.
After the Language House, depressed.
Depressed.
Yeah, Language House was a very good home to be in throughout the college career. I actually highlighted my college career here. And then after that, I went to medical school in different country, and I think a lot of my friends who was with me in that university, they had a really difficult time coping with the island life.
I was on the Language House first study abroad trip to China back in the summer of 2008. Italy was the first time I went abroad, but then I went to China as my second time abroad and absolutely fell in love with China and loved the program I went on. And when I came back, going to China helped me find out what I want to do for a career. I picked up a Chinese Studies minor here at the University of Maryland, and I've also taken as many classes in government and political science that focus on China that I can, because that's what I want to do as a career, is to focus on the politics of the People's Republic of China and the international relations and how it affects American foreign policy.
Studied abroad. I had never studied abroad except for like a short term in the summertime, but it really, speaking with students who traveled abroad and who were able to spend an extended time in a country of their interest, was very it was very contagious. I was like, okay, I got to do this too.
The walls are decorated with posters from countries, and I often hear music in the target language wafting out into the hall. After 2 months, including activities such as coffee conversation, Around the World Dinner, where every apartment cooks a dish from a country that speaks their target language, I'm jealous that I did not get to live here when I was an undergraduate at the university.